Ladies and gents, the trade season is officially upon us thanks to Nico Harrison, who got fired a few days ago. Since then, the Dallas Mavericks are planning on sitting down Anthony Davis and his team to figure out the next steps in their relationship. Is that going to be a trade in the middle of the season at the deadline? Will that be shutting Anthony Davis down and move him in the offseason? We shall see. But because of that, today we are going to grade Anthony Davis mocked up trades. I got two articles. One has 5 trades, the other has 8. And I'm interested in this because I think Anthony Davis is a polarizing player to hit the market right now. Number one, Anthony Davis is still a star level player. Let's not mistake that by any means. He is still a high level basketball player. He will be a difference maker, and whoever gets him will immediately get better. That is a fact. But on the other side of that, Anthony Davis is a hefty contract. Anthony Davis, at this point in his career, you have to consider his age, which is crazy to say because my entire life, Anthony Davis has been this young budding star. Now we're talking about him being, past his prime potentially or getting there, crazy. And then last but not least, the obvious is that Anthony Davis isn't consistently on the floor. And when you talk about the hefty contract, when you talk about what you have to send out to acquire Anthony Davis, that's going to be a big investment. And one of the things that I think, of course, always is talked about with Anthony Davis is his ability to be available. Now, the last few years, especially with the Lakers recently, he had a strong year where he was available when he was on the floor, and I love that. But even right now, Anthony Davis is a little banged up. They have an injury that they're concerned about. They don't want it to turn into one of those Achilles situations that we saw with Dame and Hallie. So, again, with that type of history and this age and the contract, it's just very interesting to see what teams would be willing to invest into it or take that chance. But with all that being said, let's look at these trades. Our first set of trades is coming from The Ringer. I tried to figure out who wrote this article, but it's saying The Ringer staff, so we're going to credit The Ringer staff. I love giving credit to people who are behind these articles because sometimes when you're predicting trades or different things like that, it ends up being right. I love giving people the proper credit. First trade that we have, and first of all, it says 5 Anthony Davis trades that might be crazy enough to work. So let's strap up our boots for some craziness. Yes, number one being the Sacramento Kings. This is definitely crazy. The Kings receive Anthony Davis, while the Mavericks get Zach LaVine, Keon Ellis, a 2027 first round pick. If I'm the Dallas Mavericks, the things that I'm looking for is definitely draft capital. So you love a 2027 first round pick. But I also want some type of youth. You know what I mean? If I can check both of those boxes, you always have a 3-box, priority. But if you can always check 2 of your 3 boxes, I think that's really well. On the other side of this as well is like the Kings. When is it enough? And that's an entirely different video, but I'm going to ask y'all and y'all can respond in the comments. When is it enough for a franchise and a team to just say, this ain't it, let's fold our hands and let's move on to the next phase of our franchise? Because this would be a very backwards move to me if you're the Sacramento Kings. As much as I love Anthony Davis, I don't know what he's going to be able to do to the Kings to fix that whole situation. Number 2, something that I've talked about and you hear me talk about a lot is if I am trading Anthony Davis somewhere, unless it's the Bulls, which is home for him, I kind of want to send him to a situation where I don't have to shoulder the franchise on him. Because he is only getting up in age, because he has a history of injuries, I don't think it's smart to prioritize where putting the team on the back of Anthony Davis. And you would be doing that in Sacramento. You would heavily need him to be on the floor 80 to 85% of the games just to have a chance. And then you talk about a front court with DeRozan, Davis, and Sabonis. I don't like it at all, and they are not a team that's in position to be giving up picks for anybody, if I'm just being quite honest. So for this one, I'm going to give this one probably an F. F out of the gate. The Kings don't make sense. This Mavericks package, I think you can probably get something better if you're Dallas that makes a little bit more sense for your team. The next team we have, boom, is the Chicago Bulls, which the Bulls will receive Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell, while the Mavericks will receive Nikola Vucevic, Kevin Huerter, Kobe White, and Chicago's unprotected first-round pick, in 2029. So I love this because it checks two of the boxes where you get unprotected. Number one, I love if you got to love unprotected picks in the NBA right now because anything is possible. No matter what caliber a team is, one superstar turned their ankle the wrong way, and the next thing you know, you done lucked up into something crazy. That's number one. Number two, Kobe White. Kobe White is that youthful young player that is really, really good and can come in and be a part of your core. Now, if you're Dallas, you're talking about Cooper Flag, Derek Lively, whatever this year's pick turns into, and then Kobe White. You now have a 4-player core and nucleus out of the gate to excite you and the fan base, and you have something to build around. And Kobe White, he complements what you would project Cooper Flag to be, while on top of that, getting an additional pick in 2029, which again is unprotected. So you don't, you got that for sure. I love this deal a lot. I would just ask, would the Bulls do this? I see a lot of this would be something the Bulls would be into, but would they give up Kobe White in this? And I know Kobe White has this contract thing. Are the Bulls going to give him the money? Are they not? I don't know. He hasn't played yet. Should be returning to the Bulls relatively soon. But, that is a lot. You know what I mean? That's a lot. Or do they take out Kobe White and add Io? You know what I mean? Is it something like that? Do they add an extra pick in there? I'm not really sure. But I kind of like this one. If I'm the Mavericks, from the Mavericks perspective, this is a B+ to an A-. And then from the Bulls perspective, I guess it's a B+ as well. Again, everything I said about Anthony Davis, being needed, heavily and playing 80% of the games, I still believe in that. But again, Chicago is home, and sometimes you just go and get that home star, and the expectations aren't going to be crazy. You're just happy to have a guy back home playing in front of the family, hometown, guy, and it's a different level, right? Because Anthony Davis is still a star level player, and I think this, outside of these articles, to me makes the most sense, and as a basketball fan and as a Chicagoan, I am hoping that the Bulls do get Anthony Davis. He's talked about it a bunch in his career, and I'm not gonna lie, it makes a lot of sense, man. And the Bulls are kind of fun right now when Giddey is playing. The Toronto Raptors, interesting type of team. Number one, these are the teams that I was wanting to see in these articles, and how much or how many of these teams will be in the article, because Toronto is just interesting, right? They're playing some good basketball, but nobody's looking at them as a contender, and they have areas where they could upgrade, and the center position would be one. Now, the Raptors get Anthony Davis. The Mavericks get R.J. Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, and 2 future first-round picks. Again, it checks one of the boxes because you get not just one, but you get 2 first-round picks. But again, I don't know how much I'm loving R.J. Barrett and Jakob Poeltl for what I'm trying to do in Dallas. Right, because R.J. Barrett still has a point to prove. He's still got a contract he's playing for. And Jakob Poeltl doesn't make much sense when I have Derek Lively. And as of right now, I have, Gafford. So you love the picks, but if I'm the Mavericks, I have to believe something else out there could be better. You know what I mean? So for this one, I would go a D-. A D-. R.J. Barrett kind of plays the same way as Cooper Flag, in a sense where, he's good with the basketball. You want him driving and kicking, and you want that from Cooper Flag. And R.J. Barrett has done a solid job this year playing off of Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram. I've liked the way that R.J. Barrett has played to start the year, but for the long-term trajectory, I don't think Dallas wants to be in a situation where they have to figure out if they're paying R.J. Barrett. This is a guy that's going to take a bunch of jump shots or take a lot of shots in general. You kind of want to just center around Cooper Flag. And if you're going to bring in somebody like that, you want it to be Kobe White, who is like almost the perfect fit to what you project Cooper Flag to be. So, but from the other perspective, if you're the Raptors, you do this. You didn't have a front court of Anthony Davis, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram. Anthony Davis does not like to play center. So got to consider that if you're the Raptors as well. The next trade we have is the Charlotte Hornets. Again, I don't like this because, Miles Bridges is going to Dallas, Colin Sexton, and 3 future first-round picks. So, obviously, if you're Dallas, you can flip these guys. How soon can you flip them, in the offseason? Who really wants them? Who knows? But they would not be key pieces. But number 2, like I said with the Kings, what makes the Hornets feel like they're in position to trade 3 first-round picks? including the Mavs' own 2027 pick. Which, if you're the Mavericks, you're probably trying to hop all over that to get your pick back, but then you're also getting 3. If I'm the Mavericks, this is an A+ trade for me. I'm not getting my young player, right? Like, I know I'm not getting Conk and Nipple or anything like that, but the fact that I can get 3 future first-round picks from a team that I don't think does much more with Anthony Davis, they'll be a tad bit better. But because you still don't know how available and healthy LaMelo will be, Brandon Miller has now been hurt in back-to-back seasons, and Anthony Davis has a history of being hurt. You now have 3 guys you're leaning on without too much faith in their availability. So if I'm the Mavericks, yeah, give me all 3 of those first-round picks, because I believe those picks would turn into something very lucrative. And then also, you love having your own pick. So, yeah, from the Hornets' perspective, complete F. Complete F. I don't think this team should be invested in to where you're giving up 3 first-round picks. I think you should maybe consider doing this for yourself, doing the opposite, maybe trading some of your guys to go get some picks, at least entertaining the idea, because, yeah, how much longer are we waiting on the Hornets to be healthy? You know what I mean? And even if they're healthy, how good are they? Because we just don't know, but I can tell you they ain't a contender. Not even this year, in a down year for the Eastern Conference. And then the last one of this article is the Detroit Pistons, where the Pistons receive Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson. And then the Mavericks receive Jaden Ivey and Tobias Harris, Ron Holland, and Isaiah Stewart. Boom. So Detroit, they right across the water, Lake Michigan. They're like our cousins here in Chicago. And I could tell you one thing. My cousins is not going to want to give up Ron Holland and Isaiah Stewart. It's not that you're not giving those players up for Anthony Davis. It's just that the way the team is playing, okay, we'll say this. They'll probably give up Ron Holland. They wouldn't want to, but it's Anthony Davis. Isaiah Stewart is a cultural piece and player, and if you're getting a guy like Anthony Davis and you're getting Klay Thompson, you're investing in the team to say we need to do something strong this year, Isaiah Stewart becomes even more valuable. Isaiah Stewart is more valuable on the Pistons than a tanking Mavericks team, in my opinion. And so I also believe that there is no trade the Mavericks are doing that doesn't involve draft picks. So I wonder if the Pistons could throw in 2 picks and remove these 2. Or throw in a pick and keep Stu. You know what I mean? Like, I love, or maybe you take Ron Holland now and you throw in like a Karis LeVert and then a pick and you keep Isaiah. But I love the idea of them keeping Beef Stew. And, you know, I know Maverick fans love, Pistons fans love Ron Holland. But it makes sense that the Mavericks would want him. He's a young player like we talked about. You're also getting Ivy. Ivy is a bit of an unknown as far as how good is he. And he's been hurt a lot relatively over the last couple of years. So this is an interesting one. I like this as a B- because I feel like there's some tweaks that could be made. This is a negotiation conversation trade that I think both sides at the end of the day would be able to come to the conclusion. Also, if I'm taking Klay Thompson in his contract, I'm helping you out too. Because I got Duncan Robinson, right? You know what I mean? I got me a Duncan Robinson. But this would put Klay in a position where Cade ain't Luka, but Cade is much better and can give you some of the stuff that Luka was giving you that intrigued you to come to the Dallas Mavericks in the first place. And it's a lot better than what the Mavericks got over there right now, which I don't think is, you know, a coincidence to why Klay ain't playing at the Klay level. Switching gears, going over to the next article, which is Yahoo Sports. This is my guy, Kevin O'Connor. He has 8 trades for us. Let's take a look and to see what he has, if it's any different teams that we haven't discussed or seen already. And the Ringer article, the number 1 trade, or the first one, is the Hawks. So, yeah, we didn't have a Hawks trade in the last one. AD for Asa Newell, Kristaps Porzingis, Luke Kennard, and 2 future firsts. Again, this checks boxes, right? For Dallas, you get a young player in Asa Newell, and you get 2 future first-round picks. But on the opposite side, I'm asking the same question for the Hawks as I am for the Kings or the Hornets, or, you know, not that they're all in the same tier, but how much more do you invest in the Hawks? They're playing a lot better. It's actually a little concerning. I think they were 1-3 with Trey, but since Trey's been hurt, they might be like 7-2, 7-2, I believe. So as of the last 9 to 10 games, they're like 7-3. The last 10, 7-2. The last 9, like really good basketball. But I think they have some things they need to figure out before they make a move like this. This is a move you make if they came out of gates on fire. Trae Young is healthy and playing, and they taking the East by storm, and it's like, man, we can get even better. Like we're better than we thought we were going to be. That just hasn't been it. And because they haven't extended Trae Young, that doesn't signal that they're super confident in that marriage. There's not a, for sure that Trae Young is going to be there for the foreseeable future. And I think that matters in acquiring Anthony Davis, and then that front court with Jalen Johnson, double low, you're bringing in Anthony Davis. It can get a little clunky. They were intrigued with Porzingis because he could space it. But, this is a hefty price, though. Asa Newell, Porzingis, Luke Kennard, and 2 future firsts. This is a move where it's like, yeah, we're better than what we expected. We want to win now. Overall, I'm going to give this one like a C+ overall. But from the Hawks perspective, from the Mavericks perspective, I might give this a B+ because, again, you're getting a young player and you're getting 2 future firsts for a team that hasn't had the greatest injury history either. You know what I mean? Like last year, this team was extremely banged up, and now Trae Young has missed some time. Jalen Johnson missed a few games, so we'll see. Pistons are back. This one is a little different than the one we just read with the Ringer. 80 goes to the Pistons, and the Mavericks get Jaden Ivey again. They get Karis LeVert, Tobias Harris, and 2 future firsts. So, yes, this one is more on par with what I was saying, where Beef Stew isn't in it and Ron Holland isn't in it, and I can see the Pistons doing this trade a lot more than I can see the other one. And, again, my only concern would be some of the Pistons' weaknesses is the outside shooting around Cade Cunningham. We love what Duncan Robinson has been able to do this year. But outside of him, you're talking about a front court that would be Jalen Duren, Anthony Davis, and Asar Thompson. Right? Like, tough on the shooting, which is why I think in the previous Ringer article, they added Klay Thompson because, like, man, they could use all the shoot they can get. If Malik Beasley is ever going to come back, like it's been rumored, boy, that team would be monstrous. And as a Knick fan who, is looking to win the East, that team would get me a little concerned and worried. Even without the spacing, that's just a nice, gritty, tough, defensive. They're going to control the glass, and Cade Cunningham is going to do what Cade Cunningham does. And this year in the fourth quarter, he's been probably the best player down the stretch. So I would like this trade a lot. I would like it a lot. Now, the Mavericks, I think this is a B+ again, too. I think Jaden Ivey is the type of player that you should be taking a chance on if you're Dallas. We've seen so many recent situations where a guy got a change of scenery. Maybe he didn't fit. Maybe he had an injury. Maybe somebody else became the priority, and they go to a different team, and we're seeing them in a different light. Whether that's Giddey in Chicago. There's a few other guys I can't think of off the top of my brain, but guys are switching teams, and it's like, whoa, okay. And so maybe Ivey could be that. In Dallas, finally getting healthy, low expectation, not really trying to fit next to Cade Cunningham, could just let him rock out. And we're like, oh, okay, and then you get the 2 future firsts, which is always, again, a benefit to load up on those draft picks as you go into the next phase of rebuilding this team. The next trade is the Memphis Grizzlies, head-scratching team to see. AD for KCP, Santi Aldama, Brandon Clark, and 3 future firsts. If I'm Dallas, again, I'm loving 3 future firsts. Obviously, KCP would be a guy that we could flip, but KCP is also a guy that while we wait to flip him, he could coexist, with a Cooper Flag. Playing off of him and knocking down shots only adds to the defense. I think Santi Aldama is a bit of an intriguing player to get back. You're not building around Santi Aldama, but if he's in the trade, it's like, okay, I like Santi Aldama. And then I love Brandon Clark when he's healthy. You know what I mean? Again, when he's healthy. But I think he's always giving you a bunch of energy on the floor. Miss Brandon Clark being out there. And then, again, 3 future firsts is just phenomenal for a team that does not look like themselves right now. On the flip side, though, I think this is an F mentality for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies have been rumored to maybe potentially trade in Ja, maybe potentially trading Jaren Jackson. He's been in trade rumors. They've come out and said that they don't plan on making any trades, but again, they're supposed to say that. I think if this thing continues to spiral out of control and these losses pile up, I think we'll hear a different tone. I don't think that they were coming out saying that they were going to trade Desmond Bane, but for the right price, they traded him. I just don't see a team in the current situation that the Grizzlies are in, which it has been a lot of negative stuff going on around them from John, the coach, and just all of the losses, blowout losses, embarrassing losses. That doesn't say, hey, let's go get Anthony Davis. He's going to save everything. Like, again, their injury history isn't the best either. Ja has had a hard time staying on the floor, and now you're bringing in Anthony Davis, and that could just be a mess. that could be a mess. And I know they got a bunch of first round picks from Desmond Bain, but this is again the type of move that you would want to make if the Grizzlies were like surprise start. They came out of the gate 9-3, or you know what I mean, 8-4. That's not the situation for them. And because of that, I think they need to stay far away from being buyers. The last thing you want to do is mismanage the assets that you got in return for Desmond Bain. That would be too crazy of a fumble. Hey, we got 5 picks from Bain, so now we just gonna spend a bunch of them on Anthony Davis. Huh? Like, yeah, I don't like that for the Grizzlies at all. The Miami Heat, AD and D'Lo for Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, and 1 future first. I don't like it for the Heat. You got Bam, you got Khalil Ware. They're playing this up-tempo thing. Anthony Davis ain't going to fit that. And then on the flip side, if you're the Mavericks, I like Tyler Hero with the Mavericks. And then you get the future first. So this is like an A- or a B+. I think previously the Grizzlies trade, to me, this is like an A- for the Mavericks, just being able to load up on picks from a team that is not in the greatest situation. But for the Heat trade, yeah, I would say a B+. Terry Rozier's money has to be kind of like some dead money. I don't even know what to think of that money because he has a nice contract. But again, Tyler Hero, Kobe White, same situation where you're getting a guy who is really good. I think he could play off of Cooper Flag, play with Cooper Flag, knock down shots off of Cooper Flag, be a bit of a scorer, right? I think the upside with Cooper Flag is how versatile he is and how great he is, or how great he projects to be defensively versus being this go-to scorer, at least right away for the first stretch of his career. If he can grow into that player, great. But based just off what we know and what we see, I think it's going to be good for them to team build with a scorer next to him. That's why I cannot wait to see how the season continues to progress for them and what pick they can get with. Now, it's going to be tough to ask for 2 number 1 picks back to back without everybody kind of batting an eye at it. But again, if you're able to go into next year and Darren Peterson and Cooper Flag is your core with Lively, oh my gosh, I think that would be a match made in heaven to have a scorer of Peterson's caliber with a defender with Cooper Flag's caliber and the way that projects. That would just be like chef's kiss. But yeah, I don't know if I'm the Heat. I want to trade Tyler Hero without even seeing him in the system for a third front court player. I don't know. Timberwolves, they get 80, and the Mavericks get Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, Mike Conley, and Rob Dillingham. A third team would need to help to facilitate. If I'm the Mavericks, I really don't want any of this. This might be an F. Julius Randle is a really good player who's playing some really good basketball for the Timberwolves. And, shout out to him. But yeah, if I'm the Mavericks, none of this fits what I want to do. I can't remember Julius Randle's contract situation off the top of my head. I know it ain't a crazy long contract, but still, if I'm trading Anthony Davis, give me somebody young or a pick. I don't think Rob Dillingham fits the mold for what the Mavericks are going to want. Shout out to DiVincenzo. He would be a guy you would instantly try to flip. Mike Conley is on the last leg of his career, and Julius Randle is a guy that can come in and probably help you win games, which is not what you're trying to do. So I think this is an F or F plus for the for the Mavericks. And the Timberwolves, I mean, you would be all right. You wouldn't have as much perimeter shooting, right? You'd be a little clunky with Rudy and AD, but it's going to be hard to score in that paint against that front court. It's going to be definitely hard to score in the paint. At number 6, we got Anthony Davis going to the Phoenix Suns for Jalen Green, Royce O'Neal, and Kamal Maluach. Again, I think this is like a D. First of all, I need draft picks. Number 2, young player, Kamal Maluach is, but he plays the same exact position as Derek Lively. It's hard for me to invest in that, knowing I have Lively. And then Jalen Green and Royce O'Neal, it's like, I want to do better if I'm the Mavericks, and I'm talking about building properly around Cooper Flag. Number 7, we have the Chicago Bulls again. 80 for Vucevic. It's clear that if 80 is a Bull, Vucevic will be in a trade. Zach Collins, Isaac Okoro, and multiple future firsts. This is what I like right here. Because I said I don't know if Bulls are going to be ready to throw in Kobe White. If they aren't, the multiple first-round picks work. Everybody else is movable, releasable, is not committed to you. But again, if I'm the Mavericks, I'm trying to get Ayo or something. I'm trying to. I am going to try to get Kobe or Ayo. Don't know what the Bulls are going to think about it, but multiple first-round picks Not bad at all. And then number 8, the last one is something that I personally, just from a team perspective, would like to see. I don't know how this works. The Warriors get AD for Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, Trace Jackson Davis, and one future first. A third team would need to help facilitate. That's the part where it gets a little too tricky. If you're getting Anthony Davis, I would love Draymond Green to be there. At this point, I feel like Draymond Green is a Warriors lifer, and the success in the playoffs and everything with them, it's with Draymond being involved. He knows the offense. No matter what you think about Draymond, no matter how much you like or dislike him, he knows the offense. He knows the system, and it works better with him out there. It just does. You can't get AD and all of a sudden think him and Steph are going to have this crazy synergy and chemistry that can replace what Draymond Green does on the floor. Now, if you're able to keep Draymond and add Anthony Davis, that would be a different look from the Warriors. I definitely want to see the Warriors get some size. Anthony Davis is the best that fits that mold that could be available for them. But yeah, if I'm the Mavericks, I probably want a little bit more. I don't want one future first from the Warriors with Anthony Davis, and then I got Kuminga and his contract situation, AirPod. Like if I'm the Mavericks, draft picks, youth, and then I'm thinking about expiring deals and guys who can just walk off the books. All in all, these trades were interesting, to say the least. I think it was a lot of teams involved in both articles that I just don't think should be thinking buy, and that's the part of the NBA that I think a lot of teams are still trying to figure out or falling for the bait for. We have the play-in, and a lot of teams are like, hey, we still have a chance, and I just think you set your franchise back if you're Charlotte, Sacramento, even the Grizzlies with their start by investing 3 first-round picks into Anthony Davis when you have so many struggles. To me personally, the one team that wasn't mentioned that I am intrigued in outside of the Bulls is a team like the Spurs. And I'm not sure or even know if the Spurs would be interested or care. But I like the Spurs because of how they're positioned, right? They already have Victor Wembanyama. They already have De'Aaron Fox. You have Stephon Castle. You have something that's there. And because you have something that's already solidified, Anthony Davis is almost a cherry on the top there. So when Anthony Davis has to miss 15 to 20, 25 games in a season, it doesn't hurt you in the regular season because you still have an MVP caliber player in Vic. And then you have an all-NBA caliber player at times in De'Aaron Fox. And you have that tandem to lean on when you have to, allow Anthony Davis to just coast and get healthy for the playoffs. And so I like those type of situations for Anthony Davis versus him coming into a team and it's like, oh man, as long as Anthony Davis play, we can make it to the playoffs. Almost like the Pacers. I don't know their cap situation or what would be available, all of that. But the idea of a healthy Pacers is like you have Siakam, you have Halliburton, and then you have AD, right? So there's different things he can lean on there. But when you start talking about the Kings, when you start talking about, the Raptors, I just feel like Anthony Davis would be needed on a night-in-night basis. And at this point with his injury history, it's probably a little bit too much to ask for. As always, I appreciate y'all. I cannot wait to see what y'all have to say about all of these trades we just went over. Leave y'all grades. And also, if y'all got trades for one of these teams or a team that wasn't mentioned, please put it in the comments because some of these trades had the same teams and trade partners, but it got to be more teams that we're not thinking about. As always, I appreciate y'all. I am Pee Wee the Plug. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'm out. Peace.